Other interesting cultural news, you have a single obese mother of 4 on government benefits claiming that Republicans are trying to take her food away, which, a visual disclaimer, she's debatably more viscerally, visually disgusting than me, which is saying something. This is brought to us thanks to Amy Klobuchar, who, hilariously enough, she's a leftist Democrat from Minnesota, and I try to follow as many people possible, left, right, and center, and libertarians, so you can get some diversity of opinion. And she's posting this as if this should give us sympathy towards this gal, and we should be, oh no, we should just have no requirements for SNAP benefits or government handouts. Now, again, this is probably posted by Amy, again, against Amy Klobuchar, who's U.S. Senator from Minnesota, which is a weak conquered state. Now, she says, quote, today, I'm sorry, I laughed at her name. It's a large, fat, white woman. Her name is Felicia. Now, granted, I don't have much ground to stand on. My name is Topping, like the pizza. But nevertheless, Amy says, quote, today we heard from Felicia, a single mother of 4 who works up to 3 jobs at a time to make ends meet. She counts on SNAP to help out and put food on the table. This is who Republicans in Congress are trying to take food away from. Listen to her story. Which, yeah. But without too much further ado, actually will give us some very articulate reasons as to why she should get even more food and more benefits.
I am a single mom of 4 who are ages 21, 17, 12, and 11. I would like to tell you my story on how SNAP benefit has helped me. Sorry.
Go ahead. You're doing good.
And again, I'll give some credit. One of the most difficult things to do in life is public speaking. I mean, you think I'm bad now. I used to be a lot worse back in the day. So I always make the joke when I first started, no one tuned in except family. But more subscribers I get, the better it's being able to speak. So I always joke I speak faster than Ben Shapiro and more awkwardly than Joe Biden trying to come upstairs. But more people subscribe than I've gotten. So click that button, it'll help out. But yeah, if you're interested in increasing your public speaking skills, one of the best advice I ever got in my life was joining the club called Toastmasters. I did that for about a year, and it made a huge improvement on my speaking skills. So again, while I don't agree with, her getting even more handouts, I do admire her effort in trying to do public speaking, especially with all the reporters, the camera. That's one of the most difficult things to do. I mean, I probably wouldn't do half as good in terms of my articulation of words if I were in her position.
When I had my oldest daughter 21 years ago, I was working 3 jobs. One job alone, I had to pay childcare. Another one to pay food, which wasn't enough, and one to pay the bills, and I still struggled a lot. Moving forward, I am now working a full-time job as a bus monitor, and I'm a driver who transports students to specialized schools in Kansas City. As an employee of the school district, I only get paid once a month. By the time I get my bills paid, I have nothing left to pay for food and other basic needs. If it wasn't for SNAP benefits, I wouldn't be able to feed my children or myself. I work, pay my bills, and like every other mom, I want to be sure that I have enough food to put on the table.
Now, again, in terms of optics, again, Amy, the worst possible optics in terms of complaining about food when you're morbidly obese. Now, again, I'm not saying that she doesn't have an issue, but in terms of this politician putting this person on, trying to gain public favor, I mean, spoiler alert, it backfired epically. Pretty much every comment is ratioing her and roasting her. And I got 5.7 million views and 6.6 thousand likes. And another issue is, I think it's going to be brought up in the main comment section, but the amount at which government government handouts have become a way of living for a lot of folks. And there's some people who, again, I think, as a wise man once said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I mean, it's supposed to be government help to be temporary. And once you're done, obviously you're supposed to work like hell, move up and gain more, get a better job title, get a bigger pay raise. It used to be much more of a temporary thing. I mean, it's kind of cliche to say, but I think it was best shown in the Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. It was Russell Crowe. I mean, back then, people actually felt a duty to the country. They'd actually pay the money back when they were given a handout or given temporary assistance. We've had a big shift in mentality in the United States, especially the past couple of decades, where people think it's an entitlement, and they just get on these programs for life. And it literally just makes them dependent on the system. And, my conspiracy theory is Well, it just makes you dependent on a bigger and bigger and bigger government who will give you more and more free stuff, and thereby incentivizing negative behavior, not actually helping the people. So I'm a big proponent of getting rid of all government benefits and doing direct actually help with local communities, local churches. I would argue if we didn't have so much money stolen from us by the federal government and local government entities, we'd have more money to help our fellow man. And I would argue local churches and local nonprofits are infinitely more accountable and more effective than the government. Granted, that bar is so damn low, it's basically under the ground. But we've seen so much government corruption throughout the years. I mean, that one, was it gal in Chicago, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, stealing food stamps for like over decades and millions of dollars. And again, the SNAP and EBT cards, it's all part of the same thing. There's different terms and technicalities for them. Now, going to the main comment section, and again, one of those things where I don't know if this shows the system doesn't work in terms of she's been on benefits all this time and still hasn't gotten off of them. I mean, she definitely needs to find a different job. And I know that is much easier said than done. But it's one of those things where you got to do something different. And also, she keep having these kids, and I just don't think. I think this shows that the system isn't working. The situation with her isn't really improving. And don't get me wrong, she still needs help. I just think it'd be infinitely more effective on a local level. Again, church, nonprofit, family, friends, who would all have more money if the government didn't steal so much from us. Again, that's Democrats and Republicans. Now, going to the main comment section, one of the first comments is the red-headed libertarian. She says, quote, "Only in America can poor people be so morbidly obese," getting 15,000 likes, which
I am a
he kind
single
of does look
mom
like,
of
Gorlock the Destroyer from the whatever podcast. Now, that being said, in the United States, people always say, oh yeah, you can't eat healthy if you are poor. It's not possible. It's too expensive to eat healthy. Which I always roll my eyes and say, well, maybe it's a defeat. It's one of my favorite sayings, is no fate but what we make. Kind of cliche. It's from Hollywood, obviously, so it's not that intelligent. But it's one of those things where I've lived below the poverty line a couple times in my life, even sold plasma to keep the lights on. If you just buy raw materials from places like Walmart, raw fruits, vegetables, eat beef, you can definitely live a lot healthier than fast food and other places that seem cheaper, junk food, other things that seem cheaper up front, but actually are not. But it does take a lot more effort to eat healthily in terms of meal prepping, and might not taste as good as addictive as that, McDonald's meal. So yeah, that's one of my biggest annoyances when people say, "Oh yeah, you can't eat healthy if you're poor." No, you absolutely can. You can buy the raw ingredients from Walmart, and you can do it if you choose to. Again, you could also go into the debate of how addictive fast food is and all that kind of stuff. Another topic for the time, perhaps, but that's another thing people are talking about in the comments is, she's morbidly obese. I would argue because again, you could debate also her time and stuff, but probably not, well, not probably, she's definitely not eating the most healthy meals. You have Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, "She doesn't need SNAP, she needs a treadmill," getting 13,000 likes. Phoenix Ammunition says, quote, "I picture a bunch of kids circling underneath that whale waiting for the occasional crumb to fall," getting 1,000 likes. And Wokeness says this has to be satire, right? Getting 3.4 thousand likes. And it is another uniquely American thing where only in America even the poor people are they obese. Other countries do not have that issue. I suspect it's also part of what they put in their food, but also choices. Texas One says, "Snap Crackle Pop," maybe getting 225 likes. The Cat Media TM says, quote, "This can't be real," getting 259 likes, which, again, this person is highlighting a struggle. The person they chose for optics is just terrible. Bad PR, bad marketing. Magnillus says, "Snap is the sound of the floorboards when she moves," getting 10,000 likes. Fictich says, quote, "Why does she have 4 children and no husband? Life choices matter. Sorry, but 4 unplanned pregnancies with no partner present is an absolute nonsense," getting 6.8 thousand likes, and does highlight the perverse incentive mechanism of giving single mothers more handouts. If you look at the U.S. government rates and the U.S. statistics on single motherhood rates, especially, again, she happens to be white. But if you look at when the U.S. government started giving incentive mechanisms for single mothers, the rates tripled and quadrupled, especially quadrupled in the African American community. And it is a perverse incentive because the government was giving the families more money to actually not have a husband in the home than if the husband had there working an average job. That's asinine. I would argue evil. And again, my suspicion is the government does that to keep you dependent on the government so that you vote for a bigger and bigger government to give you more and more free stuff. Again, that's one of the most destructive things our government has ever done is incentivize single mother homes. I believe every child deserves a mother and a father. If you look at, her turns out best in life on average, that has been, I mean, shoot, time proven since the dawn of humanity to be the most effective mechanism and formula for raising a healthy child. Now, you also have, and again, 4 is, yeah, it's a big number. That's a lot of repeated behavior. And again, some men are pieces of shit and they walk away from the situation. They abdicate from the responsibility. Those guys are disgusting, visceral. They're evil. But again, 4 times, I start to wonder why is that pattern a thing? Now, you also have Nikki Manzoons says, quote, she doesn't appear to have any problem putting food on the table, getting 3.2 thousand likes. Buzz Peterson says, quote, I know where her snap has been going, and it's not to her kids, getting 8.5 thousand likes. Okay, finally, you did find a contrarian statement. This is from Ben Dempsey, says, quote, you didn't listen to what she said, or you deliberately misinterpreting what she said. She's not working 3 jobs at a time. She says that she did that 21 years ago when her first child was born. She's currently working 1 job for the school district and using SNAP for food. SNAP is allowing her to feel comfortable working a job that does not pay enough to cover her monthly expenses. Which also, you're in charge of your own expenses. You need to maybe make some adjustments. I think many of us have. I mean, how many of us have been at the checkout when they had to put some food back or something back because you just on the budget? I can't be unique to have done that at least a couple times throughout my life. This person continues saying, quote, I understand that she values this added free time with her and her family, but she's expecting that other parents will work more so they can pay more taxes to feed herself and her other children. That should be temporary, helping hand to provide nutrition for a family while the parent gets a better employment position. It's not a lifelong supplemental income. Getting 7.5 thousand likes, and yes, that's what it was intended for, although against a conspiracy theorist, maybe not. Cotton Top says, quote, you actually thought this would be a good idea to put this morbidly obese person before the nation to defend what people need, SNAP benefits. You're a perfect example of people who should be nowhere around any kind of critical decision making. You are the problem, getting 13,000 likes, which, yeah, this governor's a moron. I mean, she chose the worst use case for her government handout. Lori Ann says, quote, I remember when we heard from Rachel Morin's mom, and y'all didn't even bother to listen. Not when Democrat has said the name or one single girl has been taken advantage of in an adult situation or murdered by illegal immigrants, and yet a highly doubtful y'all ever will, getting 6.6 thousand likes. John Rocker says, if her snap can get canceled, she go, oh geez Louise. He says, quote, if her snap gets canceled, she can go to hibernation like a grizzly bear for 6 months, getting 14,000 likes, which, yeah, there are some interesting weight loss stories where people who are morbidly obese could go quite a long time without food. Water, no, you definitely, that's usually that's what you need much more of. You also have Bridget Ann. Now she says, quote, just shut up your trap. Special needs Amy. It's a bar graph, though there's no source. Or no, is there an actual website? It says tffpwire.com, and it's just a meme. It says biggest threats to Western civilization. Smallest bar on the graph is Russia. A little bit bigger is China. A little bit bigger is Islam. The biggest bar is liberal white women with liberal college degrees, which got 2.3 thousand likes, and fascinatingly enough, they have the highest rate of mental disorders. Coincidence, I'm sure. College is important, we're told. Professor Dexaphone says, quote, Amy, I think you are ignoring the elephant in the room. Gave 5.6 thousand likes, and that's a rough burn there. Spitfire says, quote, clearly SNAP needs to be taken away from this woman. She's abusing it. Gained 3.7 thousand likes. Now, the Bee says, quote, this has to be one of the most unaware self-owns in Twitter history. Screenshot hanging in the Louvre. Gained 4.2 thousand likes. Not a single person has stuck up for her thus far. I don't think anyone's gotten the ratio this well. I mean, this long since maybe Tim Walz saying something. Or who's that fat governor from New Jersey? Chris Christie? That was the guy who literally got twice ratioed, where there's not a single person that supported him in the Twitter comments. Not even his friends or family, which allegedly he had. Also, election campaign staff, he also allegedly had those. Stacy is right, says, quote, totally serious question. If anyone on SNAP benefits, is there anyone on SNAP benefits that isn't an obese pig? Getting 1.7 thousand likes. I also don't think they should be able to buy soda pop, or, yeah, depending on where you live, you call it soda or pop. If you're on government benefits, there's a lot of shill conservatives who said, oh, yes, you gotta have the freedom to choose that high fructose corn syrup in a can. No, if you're on government subsidies or government handouts or tax dollars, you should not be able to buy junk food that makes you sicker. It's not good for you. Ridiculous. Now, you also have Stacy is right saying, quote, if they stop her SNAP benefits, she will have time to locate her neck, getting 688 likes. Ravister says, quote, do you know how many calories it takes to make her look like that? She's doing fine, getting 2.1 thousand likes. Some dude says, quote, you need to pay to fill morbidly obese women who can make terrible decisions full of snack cakes. They spelled it snake cakes. I don't know if that's a typo or a pun. Or maybe both. Getting 2.3 thousand likes. Sean Farish says, quote, she could eat less food. Getting 1.7 thousand likes. Norm says she needs to have food taken away from her immediately. Getting 1.5 thousand likes. Wow. Ava says, are the 4 kids still in her? Getting 499 likes. Rita Panish simply says, here for the repliers. Getting 2.8 thousand likes. By Holtel says, quote, fun fact, if anyone doesn't need to worry about starving to death, it's her. Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Bucket says, the poor in America weigh as much as 5 third worlders. What a testament to our nation. Getting 1.4 thousand likes. Mason says, what an amazing post. Thank you for posting this. Getting 1.1 thousand likes. We'll do 1 or 2 more. I mean, shoot, I'm not trying to be biased. I'm scrolling through all of them, trying to see if there's anyone sticking up for this leader from Minnesota. You have William the Sculptor, who says, quote, not to be mean, but to be honest and accurate, she's morbidly obese and could subsist on her fat alone storage for years. What you're asking for is for taxpayers to subsidize her early death. Find a better spokesperson for your cause. Getting 2.5 thousand likes. TS the Deplorable says she's never missed a meal, nor a mid-meal snack, nor a mid-snack snack. Getting 520 likes. Which, yeah, talk about, that's why you know you have money to waste if you do things like eat snacks. Proud Elephant says, quote, she's morbidly obese and you thought this was a good idea to post, getting 2.3 thousand likes. So, yeah, this governor was epically roasted. And again, I do think we need to have a conversation in terms of MAHA or Make America Healthy Again. And, you know, why are the people who are poor so morbidly obese? You know, why are they allowed to be on these programs for life? And why are they allowed to buy things that are hurting them and making their life quality even worse? It'll be interesting to see if, and again, it's a very taboo subject culturally in the United States, and obviously it's a political issue as well, to talk about taking away any government programs, because always called heartless and evil. I think kind of like how they used to call people racist a couple years ago, and everybody's so scared. Again, in the United States, if you're racist, you lose your job, your family, everything, your social standing. I mean, a lot of those terms are losing all meaning and all effect. I mean, it's to the point where I think most people are starting to acknowledge that these government handouts and benefits and programs do more harm than good. But as I always say, let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Even if it takes me a day or 2 to respond, I greatly appreciate your feedback. Even if it's harsh critical feedback, any constructive critical feedback is appreciated. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.